This is how it's going to be.
It is.
I can already tell.
I know.
Hello and welcome to the Kryptonaut Podcast. I'm Mark Storrs, and with me as always is
Chris.
And
Rob Morphy.
Thank you for joining us, one and all of our awesome listeners out there. Thank you all so very much.
You are so jovial today.
I know.
Well, we got
You're
the
a
social
musketeer.
medias. I am. We had the social medias.
We sure do.
We got the ratings and reviews for the podcast. You can do that on the iTunes, the Apple Podcast apps. Also, too, recently launched our Patreon account.
Oh my God, Patreon.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Patreon.com/Kryptonaut Podcast. Thank you all to everyone who was signed up.
Well received.
Yeah.
So delighted.
Definitely. We cannot be, more thankful to all of you. It's so very awesome that you guys signed up. And if you've not signed up, again, that is patreon.com/Kryptonaut Podcast. Did that again.
Podcast.
No use of no flubs.
I know.
Podchives.com.
Patreon.com/Kryptonaut Podcast. I actually made that same mistake not that long ago.
You did?
The last pod, I feel like you were just like...
Yeah, because I can't say Patreon and Kryptonaut Podcast for some reason.
Well, they blend.
So anyway, thank you all, everyone who signed up. We are super stoked on that. And we got some episodes going up over there, so be sure to check that out. This week, Rob has a pretty friggin' awesome story for us that I may have peeked at ahead of time because you sent it awfully early.
I know.
Oh, you
Usually
did?
I am literally sending these to you guys within seconds of arriving here.
I know. I was...
Like just to the last. I mean, because I'm a procrastinator. Anyone who knows me knows this.
You are.
And this week, full 2 days in advance.
Yeah, I actually had time in the morning. That good hour I give myself before I go to work to collect my thoughts and emotions. I got to read them both, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is amazing!" I got a little foresight into what we're going to be doing on Friday.
Do not get used to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did.
It is funny because
Nice.
usually I am jam-packed at the end of the well, I'm jam-packed all the time. But at the end of the week, I'm like struggling. I'm pulling an all-nighter. I'm doing all sorts of stuff. I'm writing to the last fucking second. And this week, it turns out I had a lot of free time, which I didn't expect. So I got my shit done early, and I'm just fucking walking around like, I'm going to start next week's fucking script.
Wow.
I'm just going to do it. I didn't even know what to do.
Jeez.
I know.
All right, cool. Well, let's get into it. We were talking about men from other Earths. I knew that was because we're going to laugh. Just the announcing, I knew we were going to get him. I knew it.
Not other worlds.
I'm going to choke him. He's getting choked right now. He's
you
getting
already
choked.
choked me.
Not tertiary Jupiters.
No.
No,
Men
just
from
men.
other Earths.
Oh, God.
When I read
Welcome
this-
to 1955.
when I read the title of this email, I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. This is what we're doing seriously? And then I realized what it was, and I was like, oh, Rob, you and your trickery, you and your ways.
Deception.
Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really?
I fucking love these cases. This is something that I remember reading about when I was very young. And again, it's something that has been on my radar for a while, so I'm really, really stoked to break this down with you guys.
Let's do it.
All right, let's get started. Cases of creatures showing up from the dark recesses of the Earth's primordial past, or of alien entities that seem to have been generated beyond the boundaries and genetic rules of our homeworld, have been stuff of myth and legend since the dawn of humanity. But there is another altogether more subtle phenomenon, one that deals with human beings who are like us in every way save one. The world they hail from is not our own.
An alternate Earth.
I only had one flub, and I cannot say phenomenon.
I know.
So, not bad.
No, you did really well.
All
I'm
right.
doing better.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I can read.
You can. No, you can read.
I just can't talk.
You finally achieved.
No.
I can. Robert?
Over the course of centuries, a handful of cases have appeared like blips on the Fortean radar that indicate that from time to time, strange reality shifts can occur that can open rifts into what might be other worlds and allow individuals to enter our sphere of existence. These individuals claim to be from places that don't exist and speak languages unfamiliar to anyone that hears them. Are they eccentrics, charlatans, or might they actually be from a parallel dimension?
Are we going interdimensional, Bobby?
Well, we don't know yet. There's
All
a
right,
lot of
okay,
options.
all right.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to present two specific case histories,
Okay.
and then we will discuss what our options are.
All right.
Okay.
The first case we're going to deal with comes to us from April 5th, 1851. On that day, the British journal Athenaeum published a story about an extraordinary man whom the authorities had found wandering in what was described as a disoriented state in a village just outside of Frankfurt, Germany. It's not a place you want to be in a disoriented state.
No.
Actually, it really might be. I've been there once, and they were super friendly.
I mean, in 1851.
But in 1851, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe there was a lot of dicks there. but they were probably just as cool.
Man, yeah, hopefully. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I trust the 1800s or not.
The
don't
1800s
trust
in
it.
general.
The 19th century was a wild card.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just like diseases, random wars breaking out. Like, I don't know, man.
Well, you could make that argument for like the 21st century
It's
too.
true.
But
It's true, I could.
all right. Upon questioning, the man, who spoke in broken German with a peculiar accent, claimed that his name was Jofar Vorin. Phenomenal.
Jafar.
Jafar.
Sounds like a pretty
He's a
sweet
genie.
name, actually.
Jopharvorin. And that his last memory were of heading to Europe by ship across a vast ocean in order to search for his missing brother. He also recalled the voyage ending in a calamitous shipwreck. I don't know if there's another kind. I mean, I guess there's. If you bump into another ship, that's like a.
That's not a shipwreck,
Yeah, it's
though.
not really
Yeah,
a shipwreck.
no, it's not. So I guess
Yeah.
that's
There's
the
no
only
such thing
kind.
as a
Like they're all
non-calamitous
disastrous,
shipwreck.
cataclysmic.
Yeah.
They're all a bad scene.
I don't know. Maybe there's
I mean,
one-
no, unless you meant for the shipwreck to happen.
like a ramming.
That it's not
Sure,
calamitous.
it might not be calamitous by your perspective, but in terms of material damage,
Yeah,
it
if
would
it's like
still probably
insurance
rank.
fraud, then it's
Right.
like
Insurance
it's a
fraud,
it's
yeah.
a kick-ass shipwreck. I know
Or maybe
the
it's just
opposite of
maybe
calamitous.
it's a wicked shipwreck where you just like you ground it into a rock, but like everyone survives and it's a party, and you're like, "Fuck yeah, that was dope, dude."
Fuck
And
yeah.
everyone's
You're like,
good.
dude,
Yeah,
sweet.
fuck it on, dude, fly the flag, dude. And the skull flag goes up, and everyone's just like, "Fuck."
Not every ship is a pirate ship.
It doesn't have to be, but every ship should have a skull flag just in case.
I don't think that's how it works.
Safety in the high seas.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's safety?
yeah,
A skull flag?
yeah.
I feel
Well,
like that's
in case you see
that's a
pirates?
declaration of you're gonna get fucked.
I figured in case you saw pirates. Put it
Wow.
up. Like I'm one of
No,
you.
you are the pirate.
Do you
If
know
have
what?
the
Do you know what
flag-
they call it when you're in a situation where you're fine, and then you put yourself in a situation where you've completely fucked yourself?
Calamitous.
Groot slanged.
Groot slang.
Oh my God.
Just so you know.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
bringing it back.
All
okay.
right.
With the exception of not being able to recall his arrival in Germany or how he came to be in Frankfurt, this man's account seemed reasonable enough. But all of that would take a dramatic turn toward the weird when he began to tell authorities about himself and his homeland. In his 1852 book, Yearbook of Facts in Science and Art, which was peer-renowned for its authenticity, that's a real tidbit I got off the internet.
Okay, all right.
John Timms chronicled the strange odyssey of Jofar Vorin, stating, "We find it attested in the correspondence of Berlin that at the end of 1850, a stranger was picked up in a small village of the district of Liebas near Frankfurt on the Oder." I don't know where that is, but I assume it's modern-day Frankfurt.
Okay.
Whither he had wandered, no one could tell whence.
This is why I don't like the
That's-
18.
if you can't tell when-
Beautiful.
1800s.
Just
Yeah.
give up.
Give it up.
Whence thou came.
He spoke German imperfectly and had all the marks of Caucasian origin. On being questioned by the Burgomaster of Frankfurt,
Oh, the Burgomaster.
not to be confused with Burgermeister,
Master of Burgers.
Rankin Bass, the stranger said his name was Jofar Vorin and that he came from a country called Laxeria.
Whoa.
That's exotic.
Like Syria.
Syria.
Which is situated in the portion of the world called Sakraya. Sakria.
This sounds like a really dope anime.
I don't know where that is.
He understands, it is affirmed, none of the European languages, except, we suppose, broken German, but reads and writes what he calls Laxerian and the Abramian tongues. The latter he declares to be the written language of the clerical order of Laxeria, and the other the common language of its people.
What?
Clerical order has its
fuck
own
does that-
language?
I
So
don't-
the Abramian, I suppose, is the way to say it.
Okay.
Maybe like derivative of Abraham.
That's what I was thinking.
Right, yeah.
But
Is what I suppose what Latin would be to I guess Roman Catholic communities of the
Okay.
time,
All right.
and the the common language of the folks,
Common tongue.
the common
Right.
tongue is Laxerian.
Okay.
He says that his religion is Christian in form and doctrine, and that it is called Ispatian, not Christian.
Ispatian?
Yeah.
Well, what
So
does
it's
it-
not
what
the
does that
Christ;
mean?
it is the Ispatial.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Laxeria he represents to be many hundreds of miles from Europe and separated by vast oceans from it.
So it's on
No, but-
Earth.
Okay, so
We-
this is
we
this
hope,
is where we
right?
get into the title, and I know it's going to explain itself a little more. The men from other Earths, men
Other-
from planets that they know of to be essentially Earth, and they recognize some landmarks, but besides certain things that they have in common with us apparently come from places that aren't on the planet we know, speak languages that are not indigenous. We're going to get into this.
According to them, right.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So he says Laxaria, or Laxaria, I might be saying it wrong, is hundreds of miles from Europe, which does exist wherever he's from.
Okay.
And is separated by a vast ocean.
All right.
Tim's, the guy who's chronicling this in his Yearbook of Facts in Science and Art, renowned for its authenticity.
Yeah,
I emphasize. Not just like a raft of bullshit. Tim's isn't just floating out some semi-fictional fucking creepypasta bullshit.
No, yeah, right.
This is fucking facts, science, and art.
I missed the year that I could have been an author, and that year was 1851.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
you would have
sadly.
been right up there with
I
the
would have been-
Tim's.
Totally, dude.
I think that's well past the Gutenberg Bible. I know it is, in fact. But you would have been a great writer in any era.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Tim's continued. His purpose in coming to Europe, he alleges, was to seek his long-lost brother, but he suffered shipwreck on the voyage where he does not know, nor can he trace his route on any shore on any map or globe. So, while he's familiar with Europe, he's not familiar with our oceans,
Okay.
their
He
layout, or
suffered
what's going on.
shipwreck.
He suffered shipwreck.
Suffered. Yeah.
Which is, I guess,
That's
one
an
way of
odd
putting
thing,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you got to suffer from anything, at least hopefully it's a shipwreck.
Oh, you got a case of the shipwrecks.
Oh, dude, I got a case of the shipwrecks, bro.
Oh, shit.
Not going to work.
Despite the fact that he was unable to recognize any landmarks, with the exception of Europe, Jofar claimed that his Laxarian culture was extremely familiar with cartography and had a considerable share of geographical knowledge, quote unquote, of the earth. Needless to say, the burgomaster and his men were perplexed by this odd fellow and his claim to hail from a nation and continent, and to speak languages, which they knew did not exist. Nevertheless, Jofar insisted he was familiar with the topographical layout of the planet, according to Timms, and this is what he said, the 5 great compartments of the earth. Compartments.
Okay.
We don't have continents over here.
No,
we
it's
got
compartments.
compartments, all
Okay.
He calls Sacria, Aflar, Aslar, Oslar, and Uplar.
Okay. You know what?
I mean,
Let's get some originality. Come on.
I mean,
Well,
he's
before we go pissing all over
I
Jofar's
am
tail,
pissing over Aflar and Aslar.
Asia, Africa,
Asia,
Australia.
Africa, yeah.
I mean, those
But
would be
Plar.
stupid to the uninitiated.
But
No,
but
they're smart.
You can see what he's doing here.
Yeah,
well,
they're smart.
Yeah,
They're
you know,
accurate,
they're-
fully authentic.
you can kind of see what he's doing here.
Well, you could absolutely make associations. Well, Sacria, I can't think of any counterpart.
No.
Aflar, you could say Africa.
Right.
Oslar, Australia.
Maybe.
Aslar, maybe Asia. Uplar, Europe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Or maybe not, because Europe exists wherever he's from. So maybe it's different from Uplar, which might be
right.
Eurasia. I mean, who knows? There's no point in breaking that down
Is it?
because there's no more
Is there an
information.
E in that?
Okay.
Yes, it's EU.
Okay.
PLAR.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
The
yeah.
sages of Frankfurt on the Oder, after much examination of the tale and its bearer, believed it. So the interrogators of the time and the place
Okay.
were probably just as skeptical as we are, and yet, they just probed him and probed him. He was like, dude, this is it. These are the
Right.
compartments as I know them. I don't know what to fucking tell you.
Okay.
Not knowing what else to do, the burgomaster decided to pass the buck on the mystery man, and he sent him to the learned men of Berlin, where, according to Timms, Jofar became the subject of much scientific and curious gossip in the Prussian capital. And a man of wonder such as this, what else is he going to be? Unfortunately, the fate of the enigmatic Jofar Vorin either went unrecorded or the records have been lost to time. Perchance he became a darling of the Prussian court and lived a life of luxury, or maybe he was executed as a foreign spy. Perhaps unable to find any answers, the authorities released Jofar to continue the search for his long-lost brother, a brother who may or may not have existed on this or in any other world. So that's the last time he was at least recorded in the public record. Nobody knows what happened to him.
Yeah.
He gets sent to Prussia. He's, the subject of much rumor and whatever.
From
and
the
then that's it.
men of mystery and intrigue or whatever. What was it
Oh,
called?
the learned men
The
of
learned
The
Berlin.
men.
learned
yeah.
men. Yeah.
Mystery and intrigue sounds cooler though.
No, I love it.
The men of mystery and intrigue from other Earths.
So what you have is this first case, a guy who who ends up in a shipwreck apparently. We're gonna, we'll break down all the different possibilities,
Yeah,
but
totally.
I mean, it ranges from utter bullshit to like a fascinating physics anomaly. But let's cover one more case before we get into that.
All right, sounds good.
While Jofar Voren may be the earliest recorded case of a visitor from a world startlingly similar yet undeniably different from our own, he would not be the last. Another intriguing incident hails from 20th century Japan, and it concerns the mysterious man from Tao Red.
Now, this is the story that I'm familiar with.
You're more familiar with this one?
Yes. Because at first when I read that, I was just like, all right, wow, that's pretty interesting. Burgermeister Burger.
Yeah.
And then I get to this one, I'm like, oh, this is a classic.
Oh, well,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
In July of 1954, a man of evidently European ancestry arrived in Japan via airplane. That a white foreigner had arrived at Tokyo's hectic Haneda airport was unremarkable, but what was astonishing was the documentation that customs officials found on this person. When Japanese authorities checked the unnamed man's passport, they were disturbed to discover that it had been issued in a country called Tao Red. The checker had never heard of such a nation, and despite the fact that the passport looked genuine, he decided to call in his supervisor. Legit. It's what you do.
Okay.
You don't know what's going
when
on.
you're not sure where this dude's from, but like, yo, I need my soups.
That's what happens.
Call him over.
The supervisor was just as baffled as his subordinate, and the otherwise normal man was quickly escorted into a separate room in order to be interrogated by airport security. These interviewers quickly realized that their subject was just as flummoxed as they were. Getting nowhere with questioning, the increasingly frustrated flyer was then asked to indicate the location of Tao Red on a world map. Without hesitation, he pointed to the Principality of Andorra, which of course we all know. I mean, that's just a gimme, right?
No.
All
I'm
right.
pretty sure that you introduced me to like Asia Minor because I didn't know where it was, and you were like, asshole. And then you pointed it out to me, like, oh, there it is. Cool.
Nobody fucking knows where Andorra is. But let me
Okay.
illustrate for you guys.
So is it, hold on, real quick, spoiler alert. Is Andorra really a place?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
I
It
don't
is
know.
a place.
I don't know
No,
maps.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know my continents either.
Now, for our three listeners and all of us who don't know, the Principality of the Valleys of Andorra, and of course, the first thing I think are fucking the blue-skinned antenna fuckers from Star Trek.
Oh, Andorrans?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the first thing
All
I
right.
think of. But it's literally called the Principality of the Valleys of Andorra. It's a sovereign landlocked microstate in the Iberian Peninsula in the Eastern Pyrenees. Of course it is.
I mean, I don't know if I've ever heard of any of this.
Bordered by France on the north and Spain in the south. Duh.
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
I'm
I-
still-
yeah, I
I'm
know
still
the Iberian
completely, like,
Peninsula.
I
If
don't
you
know.
haven't picnicked on the eastern slopes of the Pyrenees in spring, you have not fucking lived. Period.
Okay, well, I mean,
No, I mean, until they actually mentioned Spain and France, I thought it was completely made up
Right,
shit.
right.
Plus the phrase microstate.
Right.
That's so
I don't even know what that means.
I guess it's like
Is it like a county?
Is it an independent nation? Like
That's what I mean.
10
I
times
don't know.
smaller than
Oh,
Luxembourg?
are they sovereign citizens of a sovereign
I
nation?
would assume.
But you mean
it
by
reminds me
state,
of
though?
What
That's
the
what-
mouse
what does
that
that mean?
roared. You guys remember that Peter Sellers movie and the book that preceded it?
No.
About like a little tiny country that declares war on the United States so that they can get the money that the U.S. always funnels into people they defeat. This is, of course, like pre-Vietnam.
that
Maybe I
sounds
do
familiar,
remember
but-
this, actually.
Well, regardless
Right,
of that,
right,
this
all
is just a tiny microstate wedged in probably the very picturesque region between
I'm sure it's
France
beautiful.
and Spain.
Yeah, well, you know
and
what?
This is where he's from, and this is where Tao Red is supposed to be. Yet,
If we have any listeners in the region, hit us up.
oh my God!
Let us know. Send
If
us
we have
pictures.
anybody
We want to check it out.
Literally from, and what is the technical name again? The multiple valleys and glorious kingdom of Andorra. What the fuck is it called? The Principality of the Valleys of Andorra.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that just sounds so lovely.
Yeah.
just-
I wonder how the iTunes charts look there. Check them out.
Oh, no.
When he was informed that the area he was pointing to was known as Andorra, which was situated in Europe, the flustered man flew into a confused rage. He'd never heard of such a place and couldn't understand why their maps were faulty, much less why he was being detained on a routine trip when, as far as he was concerned, all of his papers were in order. At this point, the evidently exasperated fellow simply reiterated that he was a legal citizen of Tao Red, and that's all there was to it.
I mean, this is kind of like every interaction I had with the TSA.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Respect to the TSA for keeping the skies
Because
nice and safe.
You're constantly claiming to be from a non-existent nation.
Yeah, no, I can never get. I always forget. I'm like, I gotta get my belt. I gotta get my shoes. I gotta get my wallet. I gotta get my phone out. I gotta do all this stuff. I got kids with me. My wife's freaking out.
Yeah.
And the poor TSA agent's looking at me like, you dumb bastard.
Why?
And I'm like, I know.
Why are you not prepared?
know.
Okay. Well.
Wow. A little angry. That's all right.
Not the TSA, because again, they're doing. They're keeping us safe. It's just me not being prepared for the line.
Fair.
And you know me. I'm a very prepared man.
Stop smuggling.
All the time.
Yeah. Don't smuggle.
You often are.
What am I smuggling,
blues.
Rob? What am I smuggling?
Smuggling Lucy's.
Oh, really?
Loose butts in the old luggage.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't even want to know where I'm going to put them, but whatever.
You're not from Tao Red.
I'm not.
So at least you have that going for you.
All right.
Like the befuddled burgomaster who wrangled with Jofar Voron nearly a century earlier, the Japanese custom officials were in a quandary. Although he seemed harmless enough, they knew that they couldn't simply release a man who had evidently, and foolishly one might add, procured forged documents from a fictional state.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, would be the dumbest. If you're a spy or you're trying to do some shady international intrigue shit, you would not pick.
You're not going to make some shit up. Yeah.
Principality
Haven't we
or
all
whatever.
gotten like bad fake IDs like when we were kids?
No.
I didn't even know.
I'm the
we're
only-
like, no.
I'm
I
the
was a
one that
kid when
did.
I was young, and I grew a beard when I was 12. So I
Yeah.
was
No. I didn't. I didn't
It
care
was
that
an
much.
easier time.
I had 1 or 2 fake IDs.
Yeah?
That
Really?
were really bad.
I was drinking in bars at 14. It was just stupid.
Well, it was a different time. It was
it
the
was
60s.
completely different.
It
Yeah,
was the 60s.
It was the 40s. Yeah, I had just draft dodged to
You,
get out of
you,
fucking
and, you and Chris got out of WW2.
America's Army. Yep.
Yeah, no big deal.
True. Yeah. No. Well, after our Pacific theater experiences. All right. Unclear as to how to proceed, the authorities sealed the man in a locked hotel room and posted guards at the door. Unlike Jofar's ultimate fate, what happened to the man from Tao Red is known, and it is just as mystifying as his arrival.
Ooh, do tell.
When authorities returned to the room for another round of questioning, they found, to their dismay, that the inexplicable foreigner was nowhere to be found. Whether he'd managed to make a daring escape or if the universe somehow succeeded in righting the miscalculation that brought him to our world in the first place remains a mystery, as he was never seen or heard from again.
The man from Tao Red.
Oh, he K-Paxed.
He did.
He totally came back.
Sorta.
Yeah.
Except, wasn't that explained as just a mental illness? I never actually saw the
No,
movie.
no. It was vague.
Okay.
Okay.
Ambiguous.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
physically he was still there, but mentally not
Ah, gotcha.
there.
Fair enough.
Well.
Well, unlike that, he was
He
physically
was
gone.
physically.
Okay. He physically just
So Jofar just
pieced out.
faded into the crowd. He's like that one shot at the end of the movie where he's there and then you look back and he's not.
Yeah.
going
A
to
bus
start-
drives by really quick and he's
Yeah,
gone.
and he's gone.
Poof.
Didn't that happen with Batman, right?
Happens with everyone.
I feel like I've seen that in 100
Yeah,
movies.
remember
that's
like
the
Alfred
deal.
finds him on
Like
the
you look-
patio or
look
whatever, and then
back,
he's
look
gone.
back,
Yeah.
gone.
No,
Where is
no.
he?
Wait. What Batman?
Remember Batman when Alfred
Christian
goes-
Bale?
Yeah.
One?
When he's at the fucking
No, because
Yeah.
he's at the cafe.
He's at a cafe.
He doesn't
Oh, he like
disappear.
waves to him or whatever.
Yeah.
No, they barely
Right.
acknowledge
because
each
he's
other.
like, sir, one day you'll be eating crumpets at a cafe.
I want to smile.
We
at
won't
you.
say hi.
Yeah.
We'll ignore each other.
No.
And they do.
What a terrible fucking way to treat your butler.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, your father,
Yeah,
but
your-
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Your father,
Yeah.
butler, trainer,
And they do. He just
medic.
waves
Your
and he
butler
gives him
father.
a nod
Yeah.
and he's with Catwoman.
Yeah. God, Alfred deserved better.
Credits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Fucking credits.
All right. So, I mean, where do we go from here, Bobby?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. We have nothing
Oh.
more.
All right.
So wait a minute. So he disappeared. Wait a minute.
We're waiting.
Wait a minute.
We're still waiting.
Well, how exactly did it? Wait, he wasn't held somewhere. He was held somewhere.
Wow. All right. Good to see you were keeping up. No, I'm glad.
Yeah, but no, he
No,
just.
I get a scene by scene recitation of the last Batman.
Oh, wait.
I know,
Fucking-
no, I know,
but
I know.
No even trace of what I just
I
fucking
know
read.
because I was so concentrated on K-Pax and Batman for a second.
All right, let
So,
me establish.
so your alcohol content,
the-
your level of your blood's like what, like a 3.2?
No, I just completely ignored what he
when
said.
the man from Tao Red was held.
They put him in a
I'm going to
room.
pretend my feelings aren't hurt
And then he
for the
poofed.
500th time.
He bamfed out of a room.
He bamfed out of a guarded hotel room.
Okay, that's
now
what
it is
I
not
thought.
established if it's ground level and the windows were unlocked and he
Right.
could have easily slipped out, or if it's
Right.
like 25th floor
Underground,
and it's an
maybe?
impossibility. I mean, it's not like he was held in like a fucking a DARPA facility where unfathomable. He was just in a hotel
He
room,
was
as
in
far
a
as we
room,
know,
guarded.
with two
Disappeared.
guards at the
Okay.
door,
And then he wasn't there.
and then he wasn't
So
there.
Joe
Okay.
Joe Farr disappears into the crowd, meets
Or not.
and meets Batman or whatever.
Actually, we just don't know. We
Right.
know he goes to the capital of Prussia.
Right, with
and it's just
learned
not
man of
heard
intrigue or whatever, and Alfred, of course.
Yeah.
And then this dude just is in a hotel room and then just disappears.
So we have
Weird.
two cases that are intriguing almost because of their banality for the most part, which is to say, they're just people.
No,
right?
I know,
They're
there's
people that just could have
nothing-
been, from
Yep.
anywhere doing the thing.
That's
and
the
so
deal.
obviously, a lot of people are just like, well, they're grifters, they're shadesters, they've got like some weird agenda, or they're just pathological liars, and
Drunks.
they just want to make a scene.
Well, I don't get agenda out of this.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I'm just
I
saying.
don't-
I'm just saying what a lot of skeptics put forth.
There's no evidence of
As
an
far
agenda.
as the dude from Tao Red,
Tao Red.
or
Or it could be
Tao
Tourette.
Red.
I mean, it could be Torred.
Right.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, I could see that guy maybe just getting some. Let's skeptically speaking, maybe he, got just some. He paid for some bunk papers and didn't realize that the place on the actual document didn't exist, and then he shows
All right, so you're
up.
saying so not necessarily
He got bamboozled.
not an ace spy,
Yeah,
but
no,
a really
just,
shitty smuggler or
yeah,
something who
or-
had nothing on him that was shady at that point.
Right.
But maybe he was
right.
picking
Well,
up some
maybe
like
could have been a spy.
illicit samurai swords or
Could've
something
been-
like the
so-
Hanjo Masamune or
Yeah,
something.
that's the best sword.
So he hadn't quite picked it up
Oh,
yet,
yeah.
Right.
And so he's there on papers that he thought were legit, forged
So-
in Europe, but are really
So
bunk.
skeptically, if dude gets a bunch of forged documents and they're all fucked up, all right, fine, I see that. As far as Joe Farr, though, I mean, if this dude if he in fact was in a shipwreck, maybe it could be like amnesia, or it could be PTSD or
True.
some type of trauma or something. So that's all that can be explained. But that's not fun and exciting. There's no
geez.
adventure
Well,
in
here's
that.
the thing too.
There's no Doctor Who twist.
I am not an expert on all of the neurological conditions caused by trauma.
No, none of us are.
So we
or just
we
or
concede
even
that.
like mental
I mean,
illness.
well, I am.
or mental
But-
illness.
It could be
We're
mental illness, yeah.
none of us, none of the three of us are even close to being experts in any of that.
No, I'm pretty
But
close.
I've not heard. Well, Chris is very close. He's real close to
I'm
his
close.
doctorate.
I'm
I mean,
not
we
pro-
all have our own problems.
That having
but we're
been
not,
said, something that makes you misidentify geography
right.
and
I mean,
have
well,
access to
schizophrenia.
languages that don't exist, I'm sure there's a pathology somewhere that
Yeah,
is
could
covered
be.
by that.
Could be.
And maybe this is it.
Could be.
Maybe a blow to the head, and like where you can suddenly pick up languages or play fucking guitar really well or whatever.
Right.
Like super savantism that comes from like a Marvel Comics fucking ridiculous accident. Maybe that's possible, but I still think it's really interesting that he's familiar. Now let's start with Joe Farvoren here. That he's familiar with Europe. He is unfamiliar with the world's oceans as they exist.
Right.
He has
That's
very
weird.
distinct memories of the compartments of Earth, which, yes, sound vaguely similar to most of the continents as we know them, except
Right.
for North and South America, which are, and Antarctica, noticeably missing. And so the part of me that let me go into the fantastical element. What if Pangea developed differently? What if things broke apart slightly differently? The oceans have slightly different forms, and that what is essentially Europe is there, I guess.
Right.
I mean, I know I'm out on a limb. I'm not even saying I necessarily support this.
Well, if we're
But
talking
no,
about
but, yeah,
But if he's coming from like Sacria,
Right.
and the nation of Laxuria,
Right.
and he's trying, and all he's thinking, I just need to find my brother, and then there's storms at sea, and there's a shipwreck, and I wake up in this different place. You think to yourself, could the fucking ship have hit rocks or something traditional and gone down? Yes. Could it have hit a mini black hole and had him teleported into another
That's a
fucking
little weird.
dimension? Of course it's weird. It's sci-fi as fuck.
I mean,
Yeah.
if it is
But
something
we got
where
to
this
be open
guy,
to the possibility.
There's a lot of things that would have to fall into place for that to happen. Like a lot.
for a mini black hole,
For everything.
because wouldn't we just all be not here if that was the case, right? Mini black hole.
No,
Well,
no,
again-
they happen. They pop in and out.
Well, I mean, if you're in the Large Hadron Collider, mini black holes are constantly little.
Or yeah, or else
But
that's
all
what
right,
they claim.
forget I said mini
I'm
black
saying
hole.
just you'd have to believe in an alternate universe or whatever,
Right.
and then you have to believe in a way to hop that,
Right.
and then you'd have to believe that Earth. I'm not saying that it's not true. I can completely believe in. I mean, obviously, if there's another Earth, the way the continents are split would completely fit. right?
But then who
Yeah.
knows if like
But-
things that are human beings
Because I mean,
would
that's
evolve.
just entropy. Then, well, yeah, that too.
And,
Yeah,
well, all
that's
right,
true.
all right, so just
if
for
the
the sake-
if there's never a comet that hit the I mean, what would
super brainy dinos.
fucking would
Yeah.
happen?
All right,
But-
just for the sake of this discussion, because it's not going to be conducive to us or our listeners to do this constantly. It's an easier explanation to say liars, madmen, physical neurological
Charlatans.
trauma, diabetic fucking hallucinations,
Drunks.
So let's just acknowledging that these are much more reasonable explanations.
Drug addicts.
All of those
Excellent.
opium-headed fiends.
well, I would believe just a mental issue over.
Reefer madness.
Reefer
over somebody
madness
that's
and
high.
devil's lettuce.
I mean,
so
but-
let's just acknowledge that these are all possibilities,
No,
and
it-
then
they
just
are.
let them
Yeah.
sit. Because if we go and revisit it every time, it's just.
yeah, no, that's not fun.
Let's talk about the esoteric possibilities.
I mean-
now I do think that science has. I mean, it's not de facto. It's not. The numbers aren't 100% there, but there are pretty legitimate mathematical fucking algorithms or whatever that suggest that every possibility exists in like these layered like panes of glass next to each other.
Right.
Of
That-
every possibility
well, that's
ever.
that's part of string, kind of.
Kind of.
Right.
So there is a branch of physics that suggests that alternate realities could exist, and now some are probably so foreign to ours as to be unthinkable, Lovecraftian even, and others might be so similar to ours to be like, there's Europe, I can fly to Japan, but I'm from fucking Tao Red, or
Right.
I'm from
Yeah,
Nigeria.
no, right.
So if that's a possibility, then maybe, kind of like we were talking some time ago in the Dragons episode, maybe breaches can happen between realities, because there's definitely been cases, and this is a whole separate scenario that we will probably discuss at some point, where people seem to like be walking down a lane somewhere in England or wherever in middle America, and suddenly they're in the 1840s. And they look around and there's like, dirt roads and horses and buggies and all sorts of weird
No,
shit.
well,
and they're
that's
like, what?
that's
is going
part
on? And
of
then a
what we
second
dealt with
later,
at Watertown.
you guys
And
went into a vortex.
Actually-
when Chris and I interviewed
That was what partly what she claimed.
well,
So
you know what?
Time skipping.
I think
is a
actually,
thing.
I think the Watertown Vortex episode, we're going to have to figure out what exactly to do with that, because we reference it constantly, but we haven't put it out yet. So keep an eye on our Patreon.
That's the interview that Chris and Mark conducted.
Yes,
I wasn't there for
yes,
it.
in Watertown, yeah.
With a woman that has contact with fairy folk, and
Yeah, and part of it
can
was
go to
basically
different realms.
she was using ley lines to communicate with these the what are they called, the Fae, I think she
Fae,
called them,
yeah.
And she was basically like walking these ley lines and traversing time and space and crossing over into something, basically.
Sweet.
So, I mean, I may be on a limb with time and space, but I like it for the dramatic effect.
Yeah, well,
Time
no,
and
that's not incorrect.
Right.
From what I remember her saying.
So, I mean, yeah, maybe, but conversely, I mean, if these people, whether they're being shipwrecked or they're on a plane or whatever, if for whatever reason, if it's the thin membranous layer of time and space, or if time and space is actually concrete and for some reason they actually just blasted through for whatever reason, unbeknownst to us in science, then they've essentially appeared into a parallel world that is so similar to theirs, but completely not.
Yes.
Human species, Earth. and
First off,
just
if
different.
this is
everything else
legit,
is different.
if this is legit, think of how disconcerting it must be.
No,
for
that
those
would
involved.
suck if it was
that
real,
would
yeah.
suck.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But secondly, I find it interesting that in Voron's case, it's a traumatic event, and he has no active memory. Like, there is
Right,
some
yeah.
element of de facto amnesia in
Right,
that.
right.
I don't know how I got into inner Europe. I don't know how I got to Frankfurt in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that I was traveling and this shit went down. Where on the other hand, another guy, the unnamed guy from Tao Red, is just like, I'm on a plane. I'm just flying to Japan.
was just
I'm doing
normal.
my
Yeah,
thing. And
why am I here? Yeah.
Where the other guy could have like a mini stroke and just kind of like
gotten
fucked with him.
completely
Right,
But this other guy
disoriented.
just
The other
was,
guy-
it was just straight. It's just normal trip, and he landed and he's like, "Why?" Like
Yeah,
if we're
why the hell am I
going to
here?
Florida, and he lands in Disney, and they're like, "Oh no, this is Fran Scorb." Like why? Why am I in Fran Scorb? I'm just going to Disney. Can I go to Disney?
I mean, if I show up in the Orlando airport and they were like, "Yes, welcome to Fran's Score," I'd be like, "Mom, like, oh man, we
Like
fucked
yeah, we were
up.
awake. Everything
We
was
fucked
normal. I was
up."
eating peanuts.
Yeah.
Took a pee.
Yep.
And now I'm in France
I was
Corp.
drinking my complimentary
Tomato?
tomato juice. And
I would
my
have said, fuck
chips.
your tomato juice.
I wanted to get a beer, but it was like so early in the morning. I
Why
didn't
don't you
want
just
to
get like a Bloody Mary then?
because I don't know, man.
That's the best of both
The kids
worlds.
were there, and I was
V8?
nervous, and it was the whole thing.
Were the
and-
kids watching you with judgmental eyes?
No, but they would have been if like, oh, Dad's drinking booze at fucking 8 in the morning.
I don't think
don't
Ev would have
no,
been
they
like,
would.
Dad.
That's the beautiful thing about kids. They don't
My
have
kids-
context for how fucked up you are.
No,
No,
they
they're-
call
they're-
me
they're
out
sharp.
on my drinking
They're
all the
sharp.
time. They're like, oh, Dad, did you go to the store and get any booze? I'm like, hey,
Wow.
hey, it's called
All right,
Happy
I'm gonna
Juice.
have to talk.
Stop.
It is happy
Uncle
juice.
Uncle Chris is
Yeah,
gonna
Uncle
have a
Chris
talk.
did. Yeah, exactly.
No more going to France Corp for you two.
That's
You're
right,
not
no
going
more
to France
France
Corp.
Corp.
Yeah.
And
So-
Walt Disney World.
Oh, the
right.
best.
Schmaltz.
Have a magical day.
God damn it.
So, if these people, for some reason, did slip a reality, whether it's a parallel world,
Another
a
dimension.
dimension. Yeah, we talk
The
about
parallel
dimensions
world
a lot.
makes sense, but dimensions could be
I
different
mean, we
things.
don't know what it means
But
really,
but then again,
we talk about it.
when and how,
Right.
in that dude's case,
Which guy? Tao Red or Joe Voren? Voren's the
Joe-
shipwreck. Tao Red's the plane.
The plane, because
You know, it makes me think some Langoliers type shit.
it does. But
Like,
why
where you're
just
like,
him and
oh, it's-
nobody
and no
else?
one else.
Right, but why not anybody else in the flight?
Like, if
Yeah.
everyone-
And like if he got on, was he like so involved in his paperwork that he was like, I didn't notice anyone around me, so I don't know if they're the same people I got on
That's
with.
what I mean.
And also,
and
too,
Where did it change? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it did,
Right.
Well, there's
why
so many
why did he
questions. Like-
change, or where did they change?
and
I
also,
guess?
too, in both
Were they
cases,
the
they're in
same
the
people?
same time period.
What do you mean?
Like in both cases, they are literally in the same time
Well,
period.
we don't.
So there's no weird
that,
time
that
travel.
is actually no. You don't know that for
Oh,
a fact
whoa,
because
whoa,
even though he
whoa.
landed in Haneda in
yeah, it doesn't give
1954,
it doesn't give a
who's
date.
to say
yeah.
that he wasn't flying from a different time?
So never take time travel off the table.
Well, I mean,
Well,
it does,
there's
so,
no info
So
there.
say he's coming from another dimension, but it's 1994, and he's just on a plane, and then he gets off it, and he's not he's not looking out the airport window to see that it's the exact same plane he got on. He's just
Right.
trying to do his shit, and Japan's got a fancy ass airport that's like, oh well, whatever. In 1954, maybe they were more cutting edge than we ever will be because it's fucking Japan.
Okay.
Regardless, if there was time travel and parallel world disparity, we might never know.
Yeah, there's no
If
info either
indeed
way.
he was, if Tao Red is a country that gets formed in the Andorran area after World War III, and it won't be fully formed until 2031, you heard it here first,
Wow.
then that's a whole other breed of cat, because
Yeah.
that means he flew back from our future.
Oh, see, now you're going. You're going full time.
Yeah, well,
me
and
now.
who knows if that Earth in that separate universe is the same
Right.
trajectory as our Earth.
So it could be completely
As far
different
as
year.
where-
Okay.
Well, right now, I'm just
Like
talking
it-
straight time
no,
travel.
I know. and
I
I'm
stand
throwing,
corrected.
I'm throwing,
Maybe time
I'm
travel could
throwing
happen.
weird
Maybe.
curveballs in there.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Because they might be like, yeah, it's the year 192. What are you talking about? I'm like,
Whoa.
what the fuck does that even
yeah, what does that
mean?
mean? What's
yeah,
192?
well, that goes back to Joe Voren and his Ipsatian religious
yeah,
crusade,
yeah.
where it's like, what I mean. So, what evolution not only made for different continents and unrecognizable oceans, but Christianity in doctrine and deed with a completely different name.
Yeah.
I mean, but let's table that for 1 second. Let's get back to the man from Tao Red. The questions that need to be asked, among many others, are, like we were saying earlier, did he recognize anyone on the plane with him? And obviously nobody else seemed to have paperwork issues. Where did he board a plane? Because I don't think
I know, that's the
Andorra
deal.
has a sweet airport. Maybe it does. I don't know anything about it. But I imagine he had to travel to either France or Spain to hop an international flight, especially in 1954. Did he recognize the country he was landing in as Japan? Or did he have a different name for it altogether? So there's a lot of unanswered questions that would really help us kind of flesh out what
Right.
was going on in his head.
Absolutely, there's a
And,
ton.
and I can
but-
forgive the 1851 shit because it's 1851.
You can't trust the 1800s, dude. We talked about this earlier.
That's the other thing too about
You can't trust
Voren.
it.
Like maybe he was a grifter, maybe he was just trying to do some shady shit and work his way into the upper echelon. Like he was trying to get to Berlin and get the papers and the introduction, trying to break up from the caste system. But if you fuck up in 1851, that's a guillotine.
Yeah.
You can't be fucking around in 1851.
That's a killing.
That's how you die.
Yeah.
So
I mean, all right. So all right, looking at that case especially, we could say, all right, because of the time period, maybe, possibly, you could have things being misconstrued. There could be obviously some sort of fakery or whatever afoot. But now with 54, though, from the man from Tao Red, that one's a little bit different because that one seems to be I mean, not that the dude's not a mystery, but from the 1851. But this one legit seems to be documented a little bit better.
Well, one of the issues that people have had with the documentation of the Tao Red case is the fact that it came from a guy who was known for writing books on the occult named Colin Wilson. And so it first showed up in a book he wrote called Directory of Possibilities. Here's the problem, is that there hasn't been a ton of corroborating evidence that came before that. So a lot of, skeptics indicate, and rightfully so, that maybe this guy made it up, even though he was known for, he wrote some fiction, but he was mostly known for like doing occult ESP type shits.
Right. All right. Well, that's a little bit of a patina.
But to give the devil his due, and that's why I'm mentioning it, because it really does deserve mentioning in terms of well chronicled. If he got it from a firsthand source, like maybe it was told to him in confidentiality, the people that work at Haneda Airport, the security people especially, are going to be in no great rush to say, we got shitty documentation, we locked a guy in a room and we lost him, we fucking suck at our jobs. So while I understand this is one of those cases where skepticism is absolutely warranted, we'll put it out there. So I'm not going to say there were like 1,500 newspaper articles that came out at the time. Who is the man from Tao Red? This and that. But then again, a lot of these cases are pretty obscure.
Yeah.
And if I haven't mentioned before, as far as Joe Favre goes, Peer corroborated Mr.
Jesus
Tim's
Christ.
book.
Yeah, that's true.
As being the most accurate book ever written. I'm being hyperbolic here.
So Colin Wilson's occult fan fiction is not necessarily peer reviewed and renowned.
Maybe Snopes has some beef. But
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm not gonna fucking I'm not
right.
washing, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Okay, all right. So actually, maybe the account from 1851 might have a little bit more credibility than we believe it to.
You know what? I'm still. Here's what the thing is. I mean, there's elements in Tao Red that I find interesting and that I want much more corroboration on. There's certainly elements from the Voren case that I also find fascinating, not the least of which is that all of the continents are not just the same but with different names.
Right.
But apparently he was unable to like even find the oceans on the map. So it's not just like that the continents and nations have different names, but the actual geographic structures, with the exception apparently of Europe, are different too.
Right.
So there's different elements, but let's just throw out the disparities and the different questions, and just the idea that that there might be parallel dimensions where there are human beings. They evolved in whatever manner we evolved, and they speak languages that correspond at least enough so that I guess he could communicate in Japanese or Andorian or however he was talking to the Japanese people. And fucking Voren had fucking crazy broken German and peculiar accents, as well as Laxerian and Ibrahim or whatever. And just be like, how often does this happen and go unreported? Right. And could it happen conversely to us? Does somebody just end up trying to go to Minnesota and they end up in Laxeria and they're like, I don't speak Ibrahim. I'm not part of the Ipswichian order.
I'm from Auburn, New York.
I feel like in this day and age, you would know if something like that happened just by sheer amount of people who have cell phones. And,
there would be
something somewhere.
Like a Reddit sub. There'd be a subreddit for this, totally. Like, I was going to wherever and I ended up in Laxeria.
Well, that's assuming they come back.
Oh, the deadliest.
There's no indication that you get to have
not come. No, it would just be from somebody, the other person going, reporting the incident, not them reporting the incident.
It's interesting
because that's a different thing.
I understand what Chris is saying. It's interesting that Voren ended up in Tim's book, and dubious so it may be, it's interesting that the guy from Tao Red ended up in any book. But if you're on the streets of New York and you're just telling a cop, I'm from Zanzibilby. I know.
Here's my shit. What would you think?
You're going to end up in Bellevue. You're not necessarily going to end up.
That's what I'm saying.
Booked by Brad Steger, rest in peace.
Right. But there would be footage and be like, no, dude, seriously, I landed here and there's supposed to be New Spork. Why is it? What the fuck? And they were legitimately, why is this not New Spork?
Right.
Yeah. You aren't necessarily
you'd
gonna
watch
get-
it and it would be funny and you'd move along with your life.
Assuming that someone's there to record it. If no one's there to record it, and you don't have
Right.
any family,
Right.
you don't have any friends, you don't have any finances, at least any currency that is valid here.
It would definitely be on World Star, that's for sure.
You think so?
It would be on World Star in a heartbeat.
I don't know. I think you overrate the capacity for the world to be interested in all these little anomalous things, especially when a bureaucracy wants as little paperwork as possible, just like, all right, let them fucking sleep it off. And
Right.
if they keep insisting this shit,
Yeah.
and they've got no one to defend them,
All right.
they could get lost in the
right,
cracks.
That's
They
just
could.
from that aspect. I'm talking from strictly a social media.
Right.
Just everybody's so fucking ready.
How connected we are.
Dude,
yeah.
if the comet that destroys us all is heading for us, it would just be all over, and no one would give a fuck.
Yeah, but
Like,
a
they would-
comet is a huge apocalyptic thing. An individual that slipped from one world to another is
no,
inconsequential and
oh,
tiny.
Unless they're making a deal in public and somebody's there to film it. I get that's what I'm saying.
Hence World Star.
Not if they're just like in an airport and they're
Right.
like, and somebody, the security notices that there's gaps and they take them somewhere, then there's nobody there to record that, obviously.
Right.
I'm saying like just in public if
Someone
that
making a
happens.
scene.
Here's the other
That's-
thing.
that's
Here's
it.
what all of us would probably be smart enough to do. If we know we're at risk of losing our liberty, because people think we're insane.
Life.
And we're, well, I don't know about life.
What?
That's extreme. we
Life.
might just play the game. Yeah, no, I'm luxurian. I'm of the Abrahamic sect.
I know,
And
I
just
feel
do my
like-
thing.
I know,
And so
I'm-
you might just coast with it, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Of course, at that point, I think you're going to try to, I don't know, find a physicist or something. And be like, dude, it's going to be like Marty McFly looking for Doc Brown.
No,
basically, at this point.
100% that would be me.
Yeah, you just got to be like, was there some anomaly?
100%.
Did something
Yeah.
happen? Was there like something that you saw through a fucking telescope? Talk to
I mean,
astronomers.
I guess I'm
talk
going to have a new
whatever.
life with my new podcast, so I hope you guys enjoy.
So you're just going to settle right into
I'm
your
just
new
gonna be
life.
like, all right,
Are you
I
going to
get-
track down alternate Mark
Dude,
and Rob and see what happens?
I don't even know
Eh,
if you
probably
is
not.
still the same you from last week. You still might be a different you. I don't know that.
I'm a different me?
You might be a slightly different you. I don't know that.
I mean, I don't think.
Are you the Mark from Tao Red?
Yeah, but you wouldn't know that.
I mean, I'm in a better mood than I was last
See,
week.
he could be a different
I could be
dad.
different. I could be.
You could be
Well, you know what, though?
Well, that's not what we're talking about.
We
We're
could
not
be
talking
dealing
about
with
being
different
replaced
Chris.
and not knowing. Yeah, okay, we can do this all
No,
night.
but-
We're talking about people ending up in a reality that is not their own and being fucking
but
befuddled.
that assumes the somebody that was there in that reality went to another one, and you're replacing the matter that was there.
Oh, I'm not assuming that at all.
No, I am.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, that
From
goes to a whole other
from
thing.
laws of replacing matter, you can't have the two.
What's the law of replacing matter?
So I'm saying the you that was you was somewhere else, and you're a different you.
Okay, all right. I mean, I believe you, Neil deGrasse
the same-
Tyson. I get
it's the
it.
same
I'm
thing.
there. Yeah,
Right.
totally.
I'm on a more simpler view where, like, not that every atom has to be accounted for and it would result in obliteration
Well,
if
I'm
it
saying
doesn't work that
if
way.
you disappear from
Right.
somewhere, then something else replace like wind. You go somewhere and something has to
Right,
be
so-
there.
okay.
Well, sure. Yeah, no,
all
I mean,
right.
a vacuum needs to be filled. I get that. But I
So-
do think that if it is possible, I mean, so people have suggested extraterrestrial. I find that to be a little
Yeah, that's kind of hard.
on the nose.
I mean, but not really. I mean, it could be alternate. If it's an alternate Earth, the solar system's
not-
different. Technically, an alien.
I don't.
Aliens all
Okay,
world.
well, you have to define alien. I guess.
Well, I know.
Well,
and
they're aliens
truth.
in
You gotta
the
define truth
sense
too. I know.
of being foreigners, but I think the only real things, with the exception of, like, say, all of the very legitimate and tragic things, like unchecked diabetes and other
Right,
elements that we always
yeah.
deal with,
Mushrooms.
all that shit off the table, LSD and LDS,
Oh, yeah, the LDS.
is either parallel worlds. Which I guess we're using interchangeably with interdimensional
Right.
because it's
Yeah,
not
and
physicists.
it's different things. I think.
And I guess that's it, or possibly time traveler, which is thinner because if you were traveling on any plane today, and this is 2019 as of now,
Right.
and ended up in 1954, you would notice
That's what
your
I'm-
technology
yeah,
no,
downgrade.
I'm not
buying that
So
one.
if you're flying
Real
from a
difference,
place,
yeah.
if Tao Red or whatever
Right.
is in the super future, you would suddenly notice, like, what the fuck rickety shit am I riding?
Yeah, you
when,
wouldn't just.
when did the
yeah.
Wright brothers just cobble this together?
Seriously.
Yeah.
What kind of bullshit is going on?
This is not JetBlue.
Where are all the sky clams? Where am
Where
I?
is my complimentary V8 beverage?
Oh,
You
Of course,
have
you
one.
love it.
we don't know that fucking the man from Tao Red didn't look up again from his paperwork or whatever. I assume he's on a business trip. We don't know. He could have been on a sweet vacation and looked up from or got up from a nap. Maybe he was sleeping on a plane, as some people are
Oh, the
able
old
to do.
Twilight Zone,
I'm not.
I can't. No.
No, not at all. And then he wakes up to be like, what the fuck kind of rickety ass shit? What am I doing? Where am I?
Right.
None of this is really chronicled.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So it could have been all of that.
So let's just, I mean, I think for argument's sake, can we just say that we're dealing with someone that just slipped realities? Just from one earth to another?
I find that the
Possibly.
most fascinating simply because
It is.
the idea of
but-
infinite possibilities and infinite Earths where there's
Yeah.
as many similarities as there are differences
Totally.
is, of course. I mean, because
It's
it's
the
the
best.
ultimate life what if.
Yeah.
And not just like the idea of like the world where I'm a rock star, the world where I'm a fucking Nobel winning physicist, or a world where I'm homeless, which is sad. I don't want to see that world, so fuck that world. You know, all of these different
world.
But taking yourself out of the equation, I mean, I kind of just want to hear like what pop songs are in an alternate reality that is ours, but not quite.
Yeah, you want to.
Hit
You want to
movies.
specific.
I want
yeah.
the minutia of
Yeah.
because I love that kind of pop culture shit.
You want
anyway.
your own version of what that means. I know.
Absolutely.
I do too. I do
Yeah,
all
think,
the time.
I think we
but-
all would. I think we would all have our own. If we could vacation, like have organized vacations where a certain amount of people are allowed, you get the red ticket or whatever, and you get to Willy Wonka your way into another dimension, and 20 people are like, oh, these are people from Dimension X, and this is from Dimension B, and you can trade tapes because VHS is only analog can move, digital shit can't be transferred for whatever reason, and you just get to fucking hang out in the other dimension for a while and be like, oh, this is what a map looks like. Oh, they got bases on the moon. Oh, dragons are real here. That's why they see them in Wisconsin sometimes.
Oh, call back.
Yeah. No, I know.
All right. Well, I mean, you know what, Robert? I'm going to say that this is going to be an alternate reality type of situation. Even
what you're
though
thinking?
technically we might have a situation with some all-call fan fiction, we're going to put that aside.
It could be.
We're going to go with the whimsy of Mark.
The whimsy of a Mark.
whimsy of a Mark.
Mark show.
Mark show. Mark show.
Yeah,
Mark
absolutely.
show.
Yeah.
Talk about callbacks. I can't believe we're ignoring the elephantitis of the nuts in the room.
What is it?
What?
The ultra-terrestrials just want to fuck with our mind holes.
Back to
You
ultra-terrestrials?
should have
Really?
said
All
The war
right.
isn't
Well,
over.
all
Shit,
right.
it
The
is
war
over.
is not over.
I don't think
never
the war
started.
was ever won. No, Rob started it.
I did.
Maybe
You
I
did it right
Maybe
now.
I did
I'd
too,
like to, I would
yeah.
like to think that that I'm
I
Bill and
warned
Ted
him.
of this expedition.
I
and
warned him.
Someday in the future, I will be venerated for mobilizing the troops.
You are going to be our George Washington.
It's a sad day.
It is.
My teeth are going to be wooden. That's for sure.
Yeah, but there's going to be a sweet statue of you on a boat in a river
Oh, it'll be fucking Rob
my
stumbling
God.
across the street.
with a bottle of
There'll be no
bottle of
Delaware.
whiskey.
Yeah.
In some verse somewhere.
There you
Oh,
go.
give me a sweet wig.
All right, so Chris, what do you think?
I don't know.
Okay, fair
I mean,
enough.
there is a multiverse theory.
I don't know.
Or not a theory. It's a hypothesis.
Okay.
Well,
And-
they're virtually
and-
synonymous.
And-
So are-
no.
are we
Like
are we-
scientific theories are different than hypotheses in science.
Well, somebody was getting a Regents diploma.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to say, what's up,
there
smart guy? Jeez.
there are differences.
I
It's
didn't
a different
graduate
thing.
Regents at all.
But for our purposes,
Yeah, but no, the multiverse is definitely a hypothesis in reality.
Alright.
So it's not like it's out of the question
Okay.
to have this.
it would just blow.
But it's just like what, how and why.
Right.
Well, those things we can't even fathom.
No.
Like I say, one on a plane, just easy peasy mac and cheesy. Just
That's
end
what-
up
right,
there, and there
yeah.
it is.
Right.
And then the other one, like a tumultuous shipwreck. And
Although
then
they
you
both
have
involve
weeks of-
transportation. Oh, is that the key?
Do you know what this reminds me of?
What's
well,
that?
yeah, you're right. Absolutely, you're
They
right.
do.
I didn't even think about
Oh,
that.
yeah.
A sky clam is an
It
issue.
reminds me
Oh.
of fuck sucking Howard the Duck. You're in a fucking your own world doing your own
Oh,
shit.
yeah, next thing you know, there's a duck.
Of course, he wasn't traveling. He was just sitting in a chair,
Yeah, he
as
was
I
just
recall.
hanging out. Yeah, in Duck World. or
God,
whatever.
that garbage movie sucks so
Dude,
bad.
It's
that
bad.
movie is awesome.
It is not.
Stop.
Oh no,
Whatever.
you can't. In what world? Why can you? This is how I know Mark
See,
is our Mark.
Dad slipped. Dad slipped.
No, our Dad would defend Howard the Duck
Yeah,
with his
I would-
dying
I would-
breath.
I
No.
love Howard the Duck.
This
That's
is
a great
authentic
movie.
Dad all the way.
You guys
What is
don't get it.
defensible about this?
It's,
movie?
it's awesome.
With
it's
the
great.
bestiality, was that your favorite part?
Wow, why do you gotta go dark on me?
I just wondered.
Really?
I just
You
didn't- I
gotta
don't know
jump
where
with
to
the
go from.
bestiality?
No,
It's fucked
original
up.
dads would like bestiality. That's why it's a fake dad.
Oh,
Wow.
unreliable dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see
He
now.
used to defend
Oh,
it.
Your
Jesus.
thin veneer is slipping, sir.
God, just accusations flying.
Where's your
left and
paper?
Go
right.
back to your own realm.
Wow. Wow. Accusations left and right. Oh, my God. Anyway, I am me, and I like Howard the Duck, and we've talked about this I don't know how many times. Every time I bring up you guys, you're like, you fucking suck. And I'm like, no,
You're
it's
the you
fucking
that
awesome.
thinks you're you.
All right, well.
Right, Rob?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah.
Really? You're going to agree with them?
Well,
Really?
I liked your battle vest.
Thank you.
That's all we
Yeah,
got.
Chris didn't like my Battle Vest.
I did look at
I'm
Battle
going to
Vest.
hold
You
this for time immemorial.
Grudge holding with friends. All right,
No,
so
I like your battle vest.
Listen, back on point. Your battle vest is from this dimension,
Thank
and it's
you.
awesome.
Thank
Howard the
Supposedly.
Duck is also from this dimension,
Supposedly.
and it blows. Well hung goats.
No, that does.
That those things are irrefutable. What we need to fucking figure is whether Mr. Vorin and Johnny Tao Red
don't know.
are just charlatans, fools, or legitimate time-slipping, tragic central characters.
I'm saying alternate Earth
I
slippage.
don't know.
It would suck. I wouldn't want to deal with it, man.
Well,
Family, friends gone, continents don't look like they should,
Yeah.
skies are purple.
But
I
maybe
don't
not,
even
though.
know.
Maybe everything that was different, but maybe their family is pretty much the same, except their
Could be.
Earth
Oh,
is...
what if there's another you? And like
Maybe there's another you.
that would suck.
what if there's a different Rob and Chris?
Well, there is.
Well,
If you went
multiverse theory, yes.
If you
there
went
is.
into another verse, then there'd be
Right.
two of you.
I don't know again if we'd end up being like super besties or loathsome enemies.
Well, it's infinite. There's
Yeah.
an infinite
Yeah.
But
thing.
if you end up in just one, where that other person is virtually you, with not, it's not like the super sweet version of you. It's just you,
Just
basically.
you, oh, right.
With just small changes, like your baby toes babier or something.
Okay.
I don't fucking
Babier.
know. Just something irrelevant
No,
and
I know.
inconsequential.
I know you have this
Alright,
one
yeah.
And
facial
I
hair.
don't
That's
know, like
weird.
you'd hit it off, or I'd be like, this pompous Tizzleberry.
right.
I don't know if I
well,
would
I don't know.
have
I
time
think
for
you'd
it.
get along with you.
Yeah, no, you would.
Because
'cause
my
you
sister's
like
pretty much
you,
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
That's
true.
true.
Yeah,
Like
that's
you
true.
all know
You
her.
guys do get along famously.
She's
do.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's pretty
me.
spectacular.
Yeah.
All right, it's fair.
Well, I
So
would,
I
I
think
would
you would,
like to
but-
think that our friendship can traverse time and space and alternate realities, but you know what? Maybe not. Maybe I'm just being hopeful.
Wow, why'd
Yeah.
you dismiss it so quick? Why did you embrace the glory only to throw it like fucking rose
Because-
petals at a wedding?
know.
That's
so
what we
quick?
do. That's what we do. Wow. We put out
Hold the glory.
We put
when
out
you grab the
possibilities.
glory, you hold the glory.
No,
We
we
were
don't. We
questioning
don't
if
do
I was even me.
Wow.
Yeah, over Howard the fucking Duck. Which is a
Strangle
great
the
fucking
dove.
movie. Yeah.
Don't release it.
Oh,
Strangle the
Jesus.
dove.
Thank you for
yeah,
joining
like a
us.
kitten. Destroy it and set it free.
God.
I-
really like a kitten?
You destroy it and set it free. We
Thank
discussed
you for
this.
joining us for the Kryptonaut podcast. That is our take on the men from other Earths, right?
They were men.
They were men from other Earths.
The assumption
Possibly-
is they were from alternate Earths.
All right. Be sure to check us out on the social medias, the Instas, the Twitters, the Facebooks. Ratings and reviews are important. We appreciate them. Stick around. We got some ratings and reviews coming up. As mentioned in the beginning of the episode, thank you all for contributing to our Patreon
Oh my God,
campaign.
yes. It's so awesome.
Yes,
Thank
you can do that at patreon.com/Kryptonaut podcast. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Bye.
Wow. See, he's not Chris. He hasn't been Chris for many episodes, and people have noticed. I've gotten messages that are like, "Oh, whatever Chris is doing, keep it going. He's on fire."
Because
you know why?
Because I've been
he's
getting.
drunk.
I've been drinking. Yeah.
He's been fucking day drinking.
I've been day
day drinking.
drinking.
You fucking alcoholic. I love you. All right. Talk to you later.
My job is. I work at a beer store.
I said I love you,
drink.
Robert. I love you on occasion.
Wow, that's
We're-
hurtful.
we're
All
at a
the
beer
time.
store.
Every day.
Jeez, thank
Never
you.
not.
Thanks for that clarification.
Sometimes Chris Moore. Anyway, I love you. Bye.
Oh
my God,
See, this is
wow.
why. Do you know what? You know what you did? You just hunted down and killed the most elusive cryptid. My feelings.
Never.
Too late.
I would trap your feelings
Too bad.
in a gentle net, and then I would nurse them back to life.
It's going to take a lot of nuzzling to make this
I mean,
better.
I'd probably put them in a zoo and make money off of it, but
Yeah,
whatever.
You would exploit the fuck out of it.
You
Yeah,
guys are the
you'd
best.
shoot it and put it on display.
My feelings
I
would be
probably would,
trained,
yeah.
caged, and exploited.
We'll be
I
talking-
don't even know what to do with
Bye.
this.
We'll talk to
Bye.
you soon.
Bye. Turn it off. Bye.
We have to do a review.
Bye.
We're doing
Goodbye.
reviews.
Okay, we can do that in a second.
And
Bye.
thank you for sticking around. round for the ratings and reviews coming at you from the iTunes Apple Podcast apps. Hashtag space is 2 miles up, 5-star from a foxalope.
Oh, a foxalope.
All right. Heard about these guys from one of the hosts over at Counting Cryptids, and so glad I decided to check them out. Came in on a random episode when the binge ensued. I am hooked. Thanks, guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and shouts to Counting Cryptids for dropping our name. Very much appreciated.
Yeah.
All right,
Much
cool.
obliged.
All right, moving on here. A fun time, 5 stars from Tazorko. If I need a little levity, I always turn to this podcast. I enjoy each topic and have learned about some little-known subjects, which is a refreshing change. The banter between the hosts is always hilarious, but they are always sympathetic and keep an open mind no matter how outlandish the tale. I look forward to each show.
Oh, shucks.
Well, thank you very much.
Shucks.
We appreciate that. We're going to end this off with the last review here, and it comes to us from the iTunes Apple Podcast apps. What can I say? 5 stars from the Oddball Aussie.
Ooh.
Oh, this pod is disgusting. Disgustingly addictive.
What?
These guys have the perfect balance of serious research and hilarious hilarity of the third kind. My favorite thing about this trio is how active they are with the fans, and when I have made contact with them, they have been really down to earth. I have heard every episode now, so I thought it was about time to leave a review. Thank you from Australia, from the brilliant show. Hell or space, always go to space. P.S. Their merchandise is amazing. Their merchandise is amazing quality.
Oh, shit.
Well, shit. See?
Well, that was just glowing across the board.
Yeah, thank you very much. Also, too, this is from the Oddball Aussie. Actually, this is from a podcast. Check it out. It's called the Oddball Aussie. You can find it on iTunes and pretty much wherever you get podcasts from.
Word up.
Yeah, hit him up on Twitter. Hit him up on, I think he's on Facebook too as well, possibly Instagram. But yeah, look at his show. It's pretty cool. And yeah, he's been a long-time listener of ours. I talked to him quite a bit on the social medias.
Oh,
so
cool.
shout-outs for the review. Thank you very much. And yeah, check his podcast out. It's pretty dope.
Word the
Yeah.
fudge.
Yeah.
That is going to do it for the ratings and reviews. And the second goodbye, we'll be talking to you relatively, maybe not, soon.
Yeah, no, you always have to add
Jesus,
that
what?
caveat.
Why?
There is a chance it won't happen.
You never know.
You don't want to jinx us.
No, not at all.
So
Okay,
by
well,
saying
don't.
that, there's a good chance you will hear from us again.
Or will you?
Second goodbye.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
That just got dramatic.
We talking to you.
Second
Duty
goodbye. Second goodbye.
Oh, God damn it.
You want a Kenny Loggins territory
That was
over
Keith
there.
Boots.
Oh, it's Keith Boots. Nice.
Damn it.
Bye.